And now if everything was successful, you should have your layers of information clipped out to your buffer boundary, right? And so as I look in here, you should have a rivers layer, and obviously I've gone in and changed up the symbol, the populated places, and down here the forest cover, right? Those are the layers that I want. It's not that these other layers aren't important, right? I can go ahead and turn those other layers back on if I want to go ahead and see the highways. I could turn on and off the rest of the rivers, but for right now I just want to focus in on these areas, right? And so that other information can exist outside of that, but we're focused on this 20-mile area around it. If you wanted, you could certainly go in and clip out everything to this, but sometimes it helps to have kind of context. And right now for context, I'm going to leave on my county boundaries. I'm leaving Indiana the populated places because they are light gray instead of red, and so I have kind of the populated places outside of my buffer. I have highways on so I can still see the infrastructure, but the graphics already starting to emphasize the information that I want to see inside this 20-mile buffer. All right, the next step in the process here is that what if I wanted to actually know the names of these different communities? Certainly one way I could do that is I could come in, zoom in, and I could use the identify tool, and I come over here and tell you that this is Crawfordsville. And this little town over here, this is Waynestown, right? Little communities that are all kind of right here around shades. There's some even really, really tiny ones. Alamo, which I've been down there a lot and I can't remember a town called Alamo. But anyway, it might be important to know what these names are. And so one thing you can do is you can always come in and you can go ahead and label these features. Right, and so if I just, right clicking on the layer, I can come down and say label features. Now, to make adjustments to those labels, if I want them bigger, smaller, whatever it might be, I have to double click on the layer itself, come in here, right? And it's going to allow me to come in and I can change up the size, go ahead and hit apply. You're going to see that the names come up bigger, right? That's usually the most useful thing you can do is change up the size, and away you go. All right, and now just so we can actually see this, let's go ahead and zoom out to the whole state. Suddenly that got way too big on my labels, and so, but my finished product is going to be about this scale, right? And so when I actually put this in a layout view, and so what I see here is I probably shouldn't have made that change to those. I'll go back into my labels and I'll go ahead and resize them back down and see if that looks a little bit better. It sure does. All right, name of the towns that are all laying out here. My clip boundaries, I've got some context information by the other layers that I've turned on, and I'm starting to get to a finished map, right? Exactly what we want to do to kind of wrap up this map. The last thing I want to do before we kind of move over to turning this into a final graphic for this particular assignment is that I want to, instead of just handing you all the data, I want to make sure you really understand where the data download process comes from. And so what you're going to see in the next video is you're going to see a tutorial on how to download data from Indiana Map and add it into your map to add Indiana Trails as an additional layer or feature into these maps. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and pause on this, and I'll pick up again in the next video.